Am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law I won't change my 4-month-old daughter's name just for her? I gave birth to my daughter, Ember, 4 months ago. My husband and I both loved her name, and that's how it was chosen. We announced her name the day she was born, and nobody said anything negative or gave a reason for us not to use it back then. I say this because 3 days ago, my sister-in-law, who is married to my brother, sat me down and asked me to change the name because it's the name of her stillborn daughter she had with her ex-husband 7 years ago. She told me she tried to keep it quiet, but she couldn't let me keep calling my daughter Ember because it's such a painful reminder for her. She told me she really feels like we should change her name. I gently told sister-in-law that my daughter was 4 months old and her name is on the birth certificate and it would cost us to change it, so we will not. Honestly, to me, that's fair. 4 months is a pretty long time to wait before even saying anything. She had months to tell her, and I feel like at this point, the name is already attached to the baby's identity, so it's a bit too late for that, not gonna lie. She told me she tried so hard not to say anything, and the fact she did eventually break and bring this up should show how hard this is for her and make me more willing to change the name for her sake. I told my husband about it afterwards, and he felt the same way I did. He told me it seemed like a weak excuse to wait for almost 5 months to tell us, when she had the chance long before this. My brother found out about the conversation with his wife, and he reached out to me and told me she mentioned it to him 2 months ago, and that she was battling with asking us to change the name since. But he does understand why I said no and supports the decision. Honestly, round of applause to the brother. You know, at least he has some sense in him. Yesterday, she reached out to me again and asked me if we had decided on a new name yet, and I told her my answer is still no. She asked me why, and I told her she waited 4 months to tell us. She became very angry very quickly and told me if she had lost my niece, my response would be different and I should see this as her losing my niece, because she would have been if she were alive. She also told me my daughter is going to grow up always hearing about the cousin I gave her the same name as, and that I should reconsider before burdening my daughter with that. She told me a good person with good morals would.
Bro.
No way she said that. I feel like that's kind of gaslighty. You know, that's kind of accusatory. Those are the themes I'm hearing from that last sentence, not gonna lie. OP says, I should also mention, I knew she had suffered a pregnancy loss, but it was implied she had a miscarriage far earlier and not a stillborn child. I never knew the name or sex, and I never ever heard her use a name for her daughter. Am I the asshole? First of all, I do have a lot of sympathy for her sister-in-law just for her loss in general because A, I couldn't even imagine, and B, that is some deep grief that a person would have to go through going through a miscarriage. But not gonna lie, the fact that she said that OP's daughter was going to grow up always hearing about her cousin, it's like, Miss Girl, we all know she would be the one bringing it up if anything. It would definitely be out of spite if she was constantly reminding her niece about the connection between her name and her aunt. I feel like at this point, she only has herself to blame for the name thing because she had so much time to say something, and to be honest, 4 months after a baby is born is a little too late in my opinion. Since this can't be fixed at this point, I feel like it's something she'll have to accept, and in a way, if she were to switch her perspective a little bit, wouldn't it be sweet that the name got passed on to her niece for her to live on with it? I get that it's bothering her, but at this point, I think maybe getting some therapy, grief therapy, or something like that instead of forcing OP to change her 4-month-old name would help her in the healing process and to move forward and not attach the name to such a negative connotation. I get that it's bothering her and I feel for her, but at this point, I think it was her mistake and maybe she should just focus on getting some therapy because, 7 years of just growing grief, I feel like it's just not very healthy for her to have. So instead of forcing OP to change her 4-month-old name, I think it would help a lot if she were to seek professional help in her healing and be able to move forward with this. So, in my opinion, OP is not the asshole. What do you think?